So, how is it working on the new 52?
It was pretty intimidating at first.
Yeah.
Well, at least in my situation, I was kind of thrown in really kind of last second on Aquaman, so it's been playing catch up ever since. But it's been a fantastic experience so far. It's been great.
Yeah, it's been magnificent. I mean, there's a renewed energy at DC Comics, a creative focus and drive like I haven't seen in my 15 years of working for the company. Everyone's on the top of their game. We have great leaders from creative teams now, like Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo on Batman, the best Batman. Yeah, it's an honor. It's a pleasure to be there right now.
With the new continuity, do you feel like it's more of has the playground gotten bigger? Because now you're not so worried about breaking rules that you may have been before?
Has the playground gotten bigger? No, I think it's still the same size. There are some pieces that are missing from the board that I think people are noticing. I mean, I'm interested in where Cassandra is and where Wally is. Concerns will be addressed soon enough. And but yeah, just the idea that you can say to DC Comics, I want to take the Joker and cut his face off, is tremendously liberating. That means there's nothing you really can't do, and yeah, it's exciting.
Is there any concern about, like, when you talk about those changes, if this is a new continuity, and you make these changes, is it like, well, are you changing the guy I've already known, or are you changing the new guy that I'm just learning about? Like, does that matter?
Not necessarily. I mean, how many times have you seen over the course of Marvel and DC's histories where characters, well, they'll just reboot. So,
right.
I mean, you can always have fun with it. And if it doesn't work somewhere down the line, we'll probably reboot it anyways. But like Ethan was saying, that the creative excitement right now with DC is just fantastic. I mean, I think just because you have a little more freedom with the characters, there is a lot more energy being put into the books than there were before. So it's really a fun time.
With all of the, there's a lot of creative shifting going around. Is it exciting to be able to be in the different sandboxes? You were over here in Green Lantern, and now you're over here in Batman. I mean, is that good?
Well, I mean, there are a couple of sandboxes that keep looking at the doors as they open, waiting for a right action to walk in. Yay!
Clothesline free gaming style guys.
Weird, I feel like I've got a posse. Hello, MegaCon. Sorry I'm late.
We'll share this. All right, now we're here. Now DC Comics is here.
Yeah. Sandbox.
Where's the rest of us?
Well,
This is it. I thought Adam Hughes was coming,
Yeah,
but
that's right, yeah.
I don't see Adam Hughes.
Yeah, I talked to him. He's busy.
He's busy. You can say that as an excuse. I'm sorry, I'm busy. Too busy for my fans.
He didn't say that. I said
Sandboxes are awesome. It's it's good to just look around and say, I want to work on that character, and then actually go work on that character. Do you feel free to do that, Paul?
For myself, I'm happy that there have been creative shifts and changes, because I probably wouldn't have had Aquaman if Ivan Rice wasn't going to Justice League. So I'm kind of happy.
It's like a big game of musical chairs.
Hey, I'll take it.
Was there a question?
Yes.
I know it had the word sandbox in it.
Well, it was about the creative shifts and how moving around, a lot of these people are getting a chance to, at DC right now, a lot of these people are getting a chance to try their hand at so many different characters, so many different places. And just whether or not that's an exciting transition, is that fun to be able to go from this guy to this guy to this guy?
It is fun. It's always fun to keep the energy flowing for one thing too. I do like that, and then also for me with DC, because I've been a Batgirl now since the New 52. Thank you guys for all your support on that. And then in May, the movement comes out, which is something that I've created from the ground up, except for one character in it. So that's the fun part too of that sandbox, is that we can create new characters to kind of bring into this huge universe as well.
Well, I, for one, would like to stay in my sandbox for quite a while. When I was with
We'll
Marvel,
build a big fence around it.
well,
for you.
when I was with Marvel, I was constantly bouncing around from project to project. So now I'm Aquaman, I'd love to stay on it for a nice long while. So we'll see what happens.
Well, Gail, you haven't actually been moved around too much in this New 52 transition, so do you feel that you're able to have a little more stability and build a little more than, say, for example, Green Arrow, where they've changed the writers 4 times in the last 20 issues?
Yeah, well, I feel that, you know, we have a direction for Batgirl, and it's been really nice because there's been a lot of story seeds that have been, I'm yelling, hello, a lot of things that I've been planting and kind of bringing into the story bits at a time, and by issue 19, everything comes to like a huge boiling cauldron of all kinds of bad things and guilt and resolutions that we've been building up for a while, and it's great to have the time in the room to do that, because you have time for the story organically to have a really strong payoff by then, and for it to all make sense, not just like you've thrown stuff, you know, constantly.
Good. Are there any questions from the audience? I'm sure there are a zillion.
With the transfer from the old DC to the new 52, are there any characters or possibly teams that you'd like to see brought into the new 52 that you guys helped work on or possibly would like to work on?
Why is everyone looking at me?
We're on that side. We'll go down the road. You can answer every question first. Scott, come up here and sit down, please. I can't watch you standing back there. It's painful. Are you sure?
Loves it.
All right. Do you have a chair here just in case you change your mind? All right.
Is everyone still looking? Okay. There are a lot of characters that I miss from pre-New 52. I missed writing the Secret Six. I missed writing, you know, Cinda, Blake, and Birds of Prey, and all of that stuff. But I think that having the New 52 has given us new opportunities to bring in some new things, bring in new readers that don't feel like they have to have read 70 years worth of content to be able to understand the stories that are going on. And then now with something like the movement that's brand new, it's kind of cool that, because with the movement, these are young kids with very relatable current powers. So I'm really happy to have that opportunity as well. So, but there are things I miss, definitely.
Well, I was going to say, I don't know if the new 52 is deserving of Superboy and the Ravens, so I can't think of anything.
We have Vibe again. What are you kidding me? You bet it's deserving. You bet it's deserving. Yeah, well, you know what? I miss a couple of things. I wish that the new 52 had or will bring in more elements of the Flash universe. Specifically, I would love to see Impulse come back. And you know, I mean, that kid is my kid. I just love him so much.
Selfless reason.
Yeah, you bet. If it sells one copy, it'll be the mini. But I mean, I just want to read Impulse books again. But generally, you know, the stuff that I really love and the stuff that I care about the most kind of stayed the same. Green Lantern is still the way it was, and Batman I think is better than ever. We get to kind of do adjustments on some of the Bat villains, what Gail has in store for the ventriloquist is so awesome. In Batgirl, is that Batgirl 18 or 19?
No, it's actually Batgirl 20 and 21.
Oh my gosh, it's awesome. And we, of course, on Batman The Dark Knight, me and Greg Hurwitz are giving the Mad Hatter an overhaul.
Which is awesome. Ethan was telling me all about it. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, he's cute. I like him.
Just imagine Ethan's idea of cute when he said that.
Yeah. I have to laugh at my own work. Like the scarier and the more disgusting it is, as long as I'm laughing.
The
when
cuter
I'm
he thinks it is.
Then I think it's cute. That's right. So yeah, Batman The Dark Knight 16 and 17 are out right now. They're Greg and I's my first 2 issues. Please go pick them up. Bring them over to me to sign them. We're at a big comic book convention, and all these books are here and available, and so are we. So please purchase them and bring them over and sign them.
When you talk about the overhauls, like, you know, the new take on the ventriloquist or the new take on the Mad Hatter, do you feel any responsibility or pressure? Like, can you just wipe the slate clean and make your own Mad Hatter, or do you have much? Because now with the new continuity, you could theoretically say there's never been a ventriloquist or a Mad Hatter. So, what's your approach?
Which is what happened, huh?
Yeah. It's fun. I mean, I think people that have read the work that I've been doing in the last years know that I like villains. I like creating villains. I like reimagining villains, all of that. And with the new 52 ventriloquist, it's a from-scratch creation, basically. Powers aren't the same. It's nothing like what you've seen before. And that's a blast. It's not to disrespect what came before, but it's just something new.
Yeah.
How about Mad Hatter?
Well, I mean, the Mad Hatter that I had in my mind was the one that Gail. I'm glad you're here, Gail. It's not going to work twice in a row. Was the one that Gail had in Secret Six. It was crazy and cool and weird and funny. And from there, I just kind of, I think I made him a little bit skinnier. But it's basically, you're a Mad Hatter with, new Tweedledee, new Tweedledum. But the thing about freedom at DC is that to some extent, yeah, right now, if you have a good idea for a complete overhaul that I think harkens back to what came before so that fans feel familiar with it, but maybe adds a new twist, it seems like now's the right time to do that.
Since both of you are here, can you address the rumors about Ethan and Gail working on Plastic Man series?
I'll address them. Gail and I are working on a project together. It's a hardcover, and Plastic Man is in it.
Joe.
Yeah, back when the new 52 was launched, because I'm very confused about the continuity, between the bridge between the old 52 and the new 52. I heard the new 52 takes 5 years before it's present. I mean, how does that work? Does it take place before Nightfall, No Man's Land, all these other events in the old 52?
Where's Dan?
Yeah, no, I was just thinking that's a Dan DiDio question.
He's dressed as a Gangnam Style outside.
I think part of the reason for the new 52 is so that we don't have to know all that continuity to read the stories, although I appreciate people who really like that part of comic books. But we've kind of drawn a line in some ways in that, I'll just talk about Batgirl for a second. Batgirl still went through a home invasion, was still shot in the spine, she was paralyzed for a period of time, and we talk about thinking about that as being about 5 years. That doesn't mean it's the same for every book, but she's only 21 years old, so we can't go too far back if we're going to try to stay current and new. They're all just stories. They all have their place. Even writing Batgirl, I feel like Oracle is what Barbara Gordon Batgirl has the potential to be someday, but she's just not yet. So that in my mind, when I'm writing it, that's what I think about it.
Otherwise, they age. The heroes age. The characters age too much.
And that was the problem.
Yeah.
Even writing them, it's probably not the same with art, but correct me if I'm wrong, but even writing characters like Wonder Woman and Superman, even though you're not writing them young, pre-52, it felt like they were, even though you're not writing them old, pre-52, it felt like you're writing an old character. And so this just helped bring some freshness in that gave us a lot of creative freedom, a lot of directions we could talk about going, that we could have the characters, you know, using their texting and all the things that, you know, reflect modern life a little bit more clearly.
When you have really big events like the Port of Owls, how does that work? Or how do you coordinate with like Scott Snyder for the terms of like how he has like a big overall argument with you guys coming in and put your parts in? How does that work? Are you involved in the overall process or just like one part like slippers?
It kind of depends on the crossover, but let's just talk about the back crossover since the New 52. The thing that's been so great about them and with Scott Snyder is there's a lot of freedom for the different stories to take place. So he'll have an overarching story that he's telling in Batman, and we get the basic idea of what that is, and then we're asked if we want to participate or not, and usually it's like, oh yes, we want to participate. And so, you know, with the Court of Owls, it was, well, what would make sense for Batgirl's story to be a part of Court of Owls? And so then, you know, we got to create a new character, which is still around in Strix, and tell this story that's a little bit of a side story that still connects, and then with editorial and Scott, and make sure we're just not contradicting, that's all.
So you make the Talon that you faced.
Yeah, I created the new Talon, and it's the same thing with the death of the family. It's like, we've got this huge overarching story, and how would Batgirl fit into that? And I started thinking, well, you know, he shot her in the spine, and you know, going back with that, so what would her little piece of this death of the family be? And then we create the stories from it. And that's a really nice way to do a crossover because it's still organic to the book that your piece is in, yet it makes sense in the whole story. So it takes some coordination, but the way those ones were set up were just amazing so that we didn't have to, you know, coordinate every single step of the way.
Dr. Who?
Quick question, when you're talking about designing more original characters. Since you did bring back Bob, I'm wondering if you've been inspired at all by the Young Justice TV series where they have like Apache Chief where they can design him, where he's got aura powers now, or even Static Shock. Have you been seeing any characters like this using some of that inspiration from the cartoon show, Young Justice?
Have you been watching that, Ethan?
I watched one episode of it and I thought it was really, really cool. And I'm all ears when they talk about that. I was one of the actual like handful of people who was like, when are we bringing the Wonder Twins? I love that stuff. I love it. You know, to me, the best thing about DC is the long, you know, what you were talking about, the long continuity. But at the same time, you can take elements of that and bring them into the now and just kind of update them a little bit so that you feel you're so attached to them. I mean, I'm so attached to the Super Friends and the Wonder Twins. You know, I would love to see an updated version of that for now, for the adult me and the adult audience here. It'd be fun, yeah. I think about it a lot.
What kind of challenges have you faced writing into New 52 for your characters and stories?
That's a heavy question.
Good job.
I think the biggest challenge is to try to come up with something new that's still true to the character's core. Like with Barbara Gordon, I feel that she should always be an inspirational character, a super intelligent character, a compassionate character, and things like that. And so take those core things that you think are the most important about that character and then create something that's a little more modern, a little more suitable to what we're doing for the New 52. So that's kind of how I approach it, is just trying to find out what those things that I think will pull people in about that character. And then we start doing the new costumes and the new, you know, everything else that goes with it.
Challenges? Nothing?
It's easy street.
Easy street. Never a problem.
No problems, no.
Not a
I just pencil, I don't write, so.
Yeah, we get the editorial first.
Yeah, so with obviously the direction DC's going right now, is it going to ever limit, say, if you ever want to go back to do Welcome to Tranquility, let's say, will it allow you to go that direction, or is there like strict guidelines now where it's, this is what we're doing, that doesn't even exist anymore, that being in that capacity where it was?
that's a kind of a weird example because Welcome to Tranquility is a creator-owned book that they partially own because they published it through the Wildstorm imprint. So with that, I'm actually trying to get the rights back. So we'll see what happens with that. And I know that's happened with some of the other Wildstorm things. But I don't think anything is off the table for the New 52. It's just a matter of when to bring it back, how to bring it back, when the time's right, when the creators are right, all of that stuff. So I haven't heard them say anything off the table completely.
With the New 52 and the reboot and the DC Nation and all these new things DC is doing, do you think that, one, did you see it coming, like the reboot and everything, and two, do you think they did it more for like bringing in new fans and kind of just starting with a fresh slate?
I did see it coming. We talked about it a little bit, not in the particulars on how it all rolled out in the end, but we had meetings, a while prior to when we started working on our different projects. And we had talked about we want to do something new that's big, and we had talked about characters starting to feel old. We talked about audience starting to look a little older and not as diverse as what I think a healthy company should be, for the audience. When I first started writing comics, everybody in the industry thought there were no female readers. Well, now you can look around at the conventions and see there are lots of female readers, there are readers of all ages, and that's the goal, is to, be inclusive and have stories that a wider audience, not a narrower audience, can enjoy. And that's not to say the stories have to be broad and, have to appeal to a mass audience, but just so that we have things that, people that like different aspects of our world can enjoy.
This is a question for Gail. I love what you've been doing with Batgirl. I was wondering if you had any plans or ambitions to do anything like that with other major female characters, or that you want to work with, for instance, Wonder Woman or Batman.
Yeah, well, I've written Wonder Woman before, so that I've kind of done. But thank you for the compliment. I enjoy doing that, and I did that when I wrote Birds of Prey, and I'm not like discounting that or anything, but it's not something that I say, oh, I'd like to get my hands on Catwoman and do something new with her. Right now, I'm really focused on Batgirl, creating new things with the movement, and then I have some Time Warp story coming out through Vertigo and some stuff I'm working with Vertigo on as well. And there's not immediate plans for me to do that specifically.
I've had this question in my mind for a very long time, and now that we have the New 52, it's very confusing. If I show you a map, could you point to either Gotham, New York, Metropolis, anywhere, or are these just kind of, it sits that way?
We were just at a meeting and we were just talking, I don't know if Ethan is in on that. They are going to do up some maps. So we are going to have some. When I say we, I don't mean me, I think that's going to be available.
Wow, everybody likes that.
Yeah, we had this conversation. Weren't you in on that conversation, Ethan, where they talk about, where we might have digital models and artists can add to it?
Right, of everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, of everything. But they also said Gotham City is actually a place in the United States that is actually a real state currently.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
And I'm not going to say because I don't know if it's public knowledge, but it's an actual location, a substitution for a state. So.
Cool.
Are they going to include Vanity City? Anybody here knows Vanity?
What's Vanity City?
That was where Aztec came from. The ultimate name.
So what else is there? There's Star City,
Vanity,
Central City, Coast City,
Midway City. There was
We're a bunch of nerds.
small town.
It was in Manchester, Alabama. He was located in Alabama.
But I think they
There's going to be a new place too in the movement.
Oh, what?
Star.
So basically, the United States has substitutions for all of its states except for Manchester, Alabama. It's the only location in the DCU.
St. Croix.
That's true, okay.
Sorry, come on. Got lost. Way in the back.
All right, yeah, so since we just got through talking about all these cities, how does that affect your writing process? Does it make it easier having a fictional city that you don't have to, like, you know, nail down, you don't have to go, like, you're not writing a story in New York, so you don't have to go down and make sure that everything is accurate about this street over here, this section over here. Does it make the writing process easier? Does it make it more creative?
Yeah, but once they establish a city, it's the same thing. Now it's Gotham as established by DC.
Right.
So,
And what about the drawing process of that? I mean, the thing about it is that it's really cool. These, you know, I mean, not that New York City isn't a character in and of itself, but even Gotham City and Metropolis, even more so, are real characters in the DC universe. You know that Gotham City looks completely different from Metropolis. You just know that. Whereas I could put you in Manhattan, I could put you in some spot in Chicago, and you may not be able to tell the difference. But I mean, these cities are distinctive characters within the DCU, and so we know how, you know, how to portray them to kind of put that across and provide a real location for the heroes to interact with. So I think in a way it's not tougher, but it's more fun than it would be if we were just saying this is a real location in Manhattan, the way Marvel Comics does. You know, I mean, that's kind of neat in and of itself, but I think there's more creative opportunity to be derived from imaginary cities.
Red and black.
As writers and content creators, do you guys have any guilty pleasures of books you follow that you may be a little ashamed that you follow it?
Great question.
nothing shames me. What are you talking about? I have been so busy recently that I'm just not reading nearly as much as I want to or should be or anything, but there's plenty of things out there that I'm enjoying for sure. I like Snyder's Batman, I like Swamp Thing and Animal Man. There's just a lot of...
Yeah, I read, you know what I'm collecting right now? I'm collecting the complete Peanuts. From 1950 to 1986, I think I'm up to date, and I read them, and they're spectacular. I don't know if that's a guilty pleasure, but maybe it is. I don't know, but I really enjoy them. I think they're great.
Are we going to see a lot more death in the Batman series?
More death? Is that what you're
I'm not saying it's good or anything. Now there's like, we've been kind of a hit recently, and now I'm not too happy about it. But I was just wondering if we're going to see a lot more of that.
We're killing everybody. No, you know, yeah, there's Batman's life, Bruce Wayne's life is all about tragedy. You know? So inevitably there's going to be death because he overcomes tragic circumstances. You know, it makes him who he is. It's made him who he is. There's going to be a very bleak event happen in Dark Knight coming up. I hate to say, but
You hate to say it.
yeah, it's fun.
On the edge, on the brother again.
How much of a heads up did Morrison give you with Batman Inc. and how you was able to fix it? Because originally it wasn't part of it, because it was stepping around in one of the issues, and now it's just ridiculous.
I haven't personally been dealing with the Batman Incorporated stuff yet.
Nobody tells me nothing. How about you?
I'm just
We're all on a
swimming with the
need-to-know
fishes.
basis.
Right.
I'm just swimming with the fishes.
That's right, I know. Any Aquaman questions? Right there, Aquaman.
I'm honestly very impressed with his personality. Are there any things like that you have any insights about what more to have about Aquaman? Because apparently I thought it was just a joke. And I always wondered why he kept him around.
Well, when I first got on the book, the first thing I did was grab the trade for the first 6 issues. And I absolutely loved how Jeff pointed that exact thing out, where a lot of the citizens looked at Aquaman as kind of a joke. And I actually really appreciated the way he did it, with a sense of humor. But it also portrayed Arthur as really kind of a noble character. And I think Jeff really did a nice job establishing that. And I think as we go further, he's dealing a lot more with his standing with Atlantis and where he belongs as king, or maybe not as king, but He's a pretty deep character, and the depths are very deep. But
Maybe just a hook hand.
no, but we're starting to establish a lot more of the supporting cast in Atlantis, and we do have one character, Merc, who's got the missing arm.
Okay.
Arm, so. But yeah, it's been a blast getting to know Aquaman, and I'm working on my 5th issue now, so I'm really starting to get into a comfort zone with him. Though my editor keeps telling me, make sure you draw him young, stop drawing him old. So it's like, okay, I'm gonna keep working at it.
That's hard, isn't it? When they said Ethan Superman, I was like, what?
Yep.
I mean, Superman looks this way, and I gotta draw him this way now. And it's a struggle.
When the Impulse died in back issues comic books, are you gonna bring him back in the new 52?
It was Impulse. You said? One more time.
When I read back issues of Impulse, I saw when he died. Are you gonna bring him back?
Well, Impulse was Bart Allen, and Bart Allen is now in Flash and the Teen Titans. So if you're not reading the Teen Titans right now, that's the place to keep up with Bart Allen's adventures. He did die, but he came back because it's yeah, where's Wild now?
This guy over here.
I know you guys have already talked about the ventriloquist and the Mad Hatter. I'm just wondering if there's any other characters that you guys have been doing besides those characters, like for JLA or for Aquaman or for the Batman universe. Is there anybody else that you guys can let us know?
Can we tell you who we want rather than who's coming up, because that's spoiler rich. What do you think, Gil? Who would you like to get from the Batman universe?
I want to see Anarchy.
Yes.
That's my question, is who do you guys want to see?
Anarchy and Hush.
Yeah, Riddler would be cool. I would like to do that.
Real Bane.
Riddler.
A Bane without a wacky voice.
That voice was scary. I like that voice. That freaked me out when I heard it, when he's on the airplane. Superman.
How long before we find out why New York needs everybody so?
Ooh, I don't know. I'm not working in the offices with Pandora, so I'm not sure. Ray Fox is writing that one. So she has, she has a new book coming out, right? It's just, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not really a spoiler because that was announced at Emerald City, but Pandora's going to have her own book and Ray Fox is writing it.
And it's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
Ray was just
really
like,
awesome.
she's going to kill and
Yeah.
kill and kill. And I was right next to her, and every time he said kill, I was like,
kills.
Kills, yeah. Oh, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, so that's where you go for all your killing.
For all your killing needs.
Do they impact it? I think sometimes they do. I think, and I'm not in the Superman offices. I'm not working on any Superman books right now, so I don't know. But I believe that because there's a big Superman movie coming out, there's certain things going on there. For instance, and when the Birds of Prey show was starting, even though I had never seen it or anything, it hadn't started yet. We knew coming into Birds of Prey that which characters had to be there because of the show. So sometimes it does. And I think, personally, in the last Batman movie, the Bane arc there, I do think they took some of that from the Secret Six Bane. So.
Was there any pressure on the Batman offices when Dark Knight Rises came out?
I don't think so that I was working with directly because it was just a complete separate story.
But sometimes we see this stuff and retroactively we're inspired by it. And it's not necessarily an editorial mandate, hey, this movie's going to come out.
Exactly.
So, but I mean, I went to the Dark Knight movies, all three of and I was like, yes, I want all of this in my work somehow, And so I think that happens to a lot of us.
Well, and I think, and I was working on some Superman tie-in stuff when the first Superman, or the last Superman movie came out, and there was certain, I'd written a scene, and they're like, ooh, that's too close to the one in the movie, even though I had no idea. So there's just little things like that that happen, that, you know.
In terms of all of, as far as balancing editorial mandates and such, with this whole sense of newness that's part of the New 52 continuity, do you feel at any time encumbered by that, having to make things new, having to make things fresh, or maybe there are characters or aspects of previous continuity that you like and you thought, you know what, it's not broke, but I have to make it new for the sake of making it new?
Good question.
No, it's not like that. There's no pressure to make anything new and change anything.
Yeah, it's not change just for change's sake. That's not really what DC is trying to do with the New 52. It's just that they just want a fresh look. And that, like I was saying when I was talking about Barbara Gordon earlier, there's a lot of her characteristics that are still there regardless of, what she's doing or what clothes she's wearing or whatever.
Since the Justice League International ended on the short note, do you think we'll see them back again in the DC world?
I don't know.
Yeah, we're talking 2 Batman creators and Aquaman, so we don't know everything about everything.
With the superheroes as they are nowadays, it seems like writers are tasked to make their characters more grounded into reality. Not to be moral as an example, but radioactive spider bite wouldn't give him spider bite, that'd just give him cancer. Do you feel like there'd be it's a huge challenge to try to find that line between, this is a fictional comic book, or we should try to ground this in reality somehow?
I think that's a great question for the Bat writers.
Yeah, I think that I approached writing a book in Gotham and in the Batverse a little bit different than like with the movement, because there's just certain tones and certain things that are different, but Gotham is going to change soon. Just saying.
I love the way that you guys convey movement on, I guess it's more for pencilers, but the way you guys convey movement. As an aspiring penciler, I buy the books for the artwork, but I read them for the story, and I love all your stuff too.
Artists are awesome. There are no comic books without the artists.
Absolutely. So one small thing I've been struggling with myself is conveying motion over an entire panel, like from Flash running or Batman jumping or something subtle as just the wind. Is there any technique or thought and mechanic behind when you do that really sort of helps you guys to not overdo it so it doesn't look like it's constantly going super fast in every second, because the Flash can go faster, you can go ultra fast.
How do you convey movement?
Well, okay. There are a billion different ways, but I'll tell you one way that you may not have thought of is to just look at the shape of the panel that you're working with. And just think about, in terms of you're talking about the Flash a lot. You have a panel that's shaped like this, and basically you've got the longest line of movement goes this way, and so you want to kind of use the length of the panel to show that he's gone and zip all the way across it. Maybe put Flash on the other end of it. In general, when you're trying to convey movement in a panel, you want, whatever the shape of the panel is, you want to find the longest stroke possible. So if it's shaped like if you're using an entire page, the longest amount of movement is corner to corner. That's the longest that you can get. So that's the sweep that you want to use somehow to just make it look like it's movement. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah. Do you have another idea?
I guess the most difficult thing is to show movement when you're in a vacuum. So, I mean, when you're dealing with where the character is, using the environment that they're in, whether it be picking up dust, or papers flying, or water bubbles underwater.
Environment.
Yeah, use the
Using
environment.
the environment.
And even just smaller things where if they're running by people, like maybe some of the people's hair being kicked back or the collar, you know, just little things like that that will show the motion of the character going by. But yeah, it's really using the environment that the character's around. The more creative you can get with it, then you can have a lot of fun, you know, showing that motion.
Paul, were you a fan and are there aspects of the character that you got to see in the title and then talk to just about
I did not really have that much knowledge about the character before jumping on the book. And I've talked with Jeff a few times. When I was hired to do Aquaman, it was really kind of last minute, so I've been spending a lot of time trying to catch up and really find my sea legs on the book. But now, yeah, but I'm getting to the point now. I'm on my 5th issue now, and I'm really starting to get a grasp of the character and what Jeff wants to do with him. I'm not at the point yet, though, where I'm going to say, yo, Jeff, let's do this idea or this idea. Maybe a little more down the line, but yeah, I'm getting a pretty good idea what Arthur is all about and what kind of character I'm dealing with.
Are you going to do the fisherman?
I think we got the scavenger.
Gordon's fisherman? He's actually an villain called the fisherman.
We got the scavenger.
Scavenger.
In his deep sea diving suit and everything.
Just let me know if it's a fisherman.
Before we pass out, let's do one more.
It's really hot in here.
Last question. Thank you. Go ahead, Yellow.
Will there be any superheroes fighting each other?
Superheroes fighting each other.
For what? They're always fighting each other. Oh, you mean at the heroes, not a hero? Yeah. Possibly in Batgirl coming up.
Heroes fighting each other?
Well, the new Superman Batman book is often they fight. Jay Lee's drawing it. I mean, from what I've seen, it looks spectacular. Get the new Superman Batman book, you'll love it.
Well, we just went through the Throne of Atlantis storyline where Aquaman and Justice League kind of were butting heads a little bit, so yeah,
They're always fighting the Justice League.
Yeah, that's true.
They just can't get along. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you for sitting with me.